Hello, I'm Steve Tolliday and I'm going to share with you 4 essential things that you need to build up your shoulders to be nice and strong in your 50s. And we're going to be using some dumbbells and a couple of bands to do this, so you can easily do these exercises at home. So shoulder health and strength is really important for pretty much any task. Never use your arms. Most of the time you're going to be using your shoulders to one degree or another. And at 50 years old, our shoulder joints are going to be well weared and teared. So let's get on with it and build our shoulders up. Okay, so tip number 1, you want to make sure that you're strengthening your rotator cuff. Okay, so your rotator cuff muscles, there's 4 muscles and they basically stabilise the shoulder joints amongst other things. Weak rotator cuff muscles are quite a big factor when it comes to shoulder injuries and lack of stability. So it's really important to make sure we've got these nice and strong. So here's a couple of exercises you can do to strengthen your rotator cuff. First exercise will be external rotations. These will strengthen your infraspinatus muscle and your teres minor, which is on the back of your scapula, your shoulder blade. You want to use an exercise band for these. So you want to be doing about 15 to 20 reps on each arm and just do a couple of sets on each arm. Now you can put this in at the beginning of a upper body workout or just do them on their own. It doesn't really matter. The idea is just to strengthen these muscles up. So make sure you keep your elbow tucked into your side. Just externally rotate your shoulder and make sure you just use a range of motion that's comfortable for you. Keep your elbow at 90 degrees as well when you do these. Second exercise, you've probably guessed it, internal rotations. Okay, and we're going to be working our subscapularis muscle, that's on the inside of your scapula. And this is actually the strongest rotator cuff muscle. Okay, so you'll probably need a heavier band for this, or if you don't have a heavier band, just stand a little bit further away from your anchor point. Again, keep your elbow at 90 degrees and tuck it into your side and then just internally rotate. Again, just make sure you're using a nice comfortable range of motion with this. 15 to 20 reps, both arms, 2 sets, a couple of times a week. Okay, tip number 2, you want to make sure you work your front delts or your anterior delts, okay, just here. So these are responsible for flexing the shoulder. So that's basically just pushing your arm up above your head like this. Or in a bench press movement, okay, your front delts will work when you do bench press. And this is working in what's called the sagittal plane. You've got 3 planes of movement. You've got your transversal plane, which is like twisting, circumducting. Sagittal plane, flexing and extending. And then you've got your frontal plane, which is abducting and adducting. So taking your limbs away from your body and bringing them back in. So you want to exercise all 3 planes of movement. Makes sense? So to work this muscle, we're going to be doing some dumbbell presses. Okay, so keep your back nice and straight. If you're sitting down like this, always make sure you keep your back straight, even if you're sitting down. Don't slouch over. Keep your abs nice and tight. In fact, for any exercises, keep your abs nice and tight. Feet nicely planted on the floor. Get your dumbbells in position. Keep your shoulders back. That will protect your shoulders. And you want to bring your arms in slightly as well. You don't want them straight out to the side. Nice deep breath. Push the weight up. Now when you push the weight up, you don't want to go straight up, you actually want to push the weight back a little bit. This will fully flex your shoulders. And then slowly lower the weight, nice controlled movements. Just repeat, do 8 to 15 reps with these. As long as your shoulders are up to it, you can go quite heavy on these. Do 2 sets, and I'm just saying to do 2 sets on these because we're going to be working all 3 heads of the shoulder, so that'll be 6 sets altogether. Okay, tip number 3, you've got your side delts or your lateral delts. And this is working in the frontal plane. So frontal plane is basically abducting and adducting your limbs, okay, all 5 of them. Now I wouldn't go too heavy on this exercise. I'd keep your reps, 10 to 15 reps. Again, 2 sets, abs nice and tight, nice straight back, all that stuff, shoulders back. And then lift the weight up as I'm doing here, breathing out, and then slowly lower the weight, nice and controlled reps again. And another thing you want to do is make sure you don't take your arms out directly to the side. Not that it's a really bad thing to do, but I'd recommend bringing your arms in just a little bit. This is a more comfortable position for your shoulders. At 50 years old, there's going to be a few niggly parts, let's say. Okay, tip number 4, you want to make sure you train your posterior delts or your rear delts. And these are responsible for extending your shoulder. So that's taking your arm back behind you. These are a little bit more tricky to isolate because a lot of the exercises for this, you tend to bring your back into it. Any kind of pulling motion, you're going to be working your rear delts a little bit, but your back's going to be doing most of the work. Okay, so as you can see here, you want to lean forward on a bench or a chair. And again, you don't want to use a heavy weight on this. Use a light weight. And then just extend your shoulders back. Keep your elbows slightly bent. You don't want them flexing it and extending all the time. Breathe out as you lift the weight up. and then slowly control the weight on the way back down. And again, I'd say do 10 to 15 reps, 2 sets again. So it might feel a bit weird at first, but with a bit of practice, you'll be a master at it in no time. Make sure after all your workouts you stretch each muscle for at least 30 seconds and give yourself at least 48 hours rest in between each muscle group, whatever it is that you're training, okay, to let your muscles recover. Now the harder you train, the more rest you're going to need. And on top of that, you want to try and do a little bit more each week, try and increase your reps, try and increase your weight a little bit, okay, or you can increase your volume by doing more sets. If you're always really sore from doing it, then you're doing a little bit too much. If you can't feel anything, then you need to train a bit harder. Progressive overload, keep increasing, keep improving, get your grub down you, keep hydrated, build your strength up. 50 years old, so what? Thanks for watching.